Welcome to the SDA Housing Podcast, brought to you by NDIS Property Australia. Before starting this episode, we need to provide a general disclaimer. Information contained in this podcast is general in nature only. It does not take into account the objectives, financial situation, or needs of any particular person. You need to consider your financial situation and needs before making any decisions based on the information in this podcast. And you should consider seeking independent and professional advice for your personal circumstances. All right, let's begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Maddie here for the SDA Housing Podcast, which is a show that explains, highlights, guides, and brings awareness about all things specialist disability accommodation in the ever-changing NDIS world. This show is brought to you by NDIS Property Australia, and today I have Courtney here from our team to take us through Behaviours of Concern and Restrictive Practices. So, hi, Courtney. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So we might just dive right into it. What do behaviours of concern generally look like?
So there are many different types of behaviours of concern. Some of them can include hurting themselves, hurting others, breaking things such as property or belongings, refusing to do things such as taking medication, engaging in an activity, doing the same thing repetitively, doing things that others don't like, for example, screaming, swearing, taking off clothes, or it could be hiding away from other people.
Okay, so all behaviours of concern do happen for a reason. Some reasons may be that they are, something to do with the person's body. So it could be that they're in pain, maybe medicine isn't agreeing with them. They could be feeling quite unwell or sick, might not necessarily be eating very well. And their hormones are not working properly.
They could also occur if someone is struggling to communicate. It could be that they're hungry or thirsty, they're feeling lonely, they want to go somewhere or they want to do something. It could be to get something that they desire, such as spending time with someone, getting something that they want, or even getting out of doing something that they don't want to do.
It could also be to change something about their environment. So it could be that it is too noisy or quiet in the environment that they're in. It could also be sensory related. It could be maybe it's too hot or too cold for them. Could also be that they feel as if they don't have choices or that they're bored, or something as simple as they just don't know what is happening around them and they don't quite understand what's happening in the environment around them.
They could occur if someone is struggling to show that they are feeling upset, if they're feeling overwhelmed, or just struggling to express an emotion.
Okie dokie. So when we talk about types of help, one good thing could be assessment-wise. So the assessment is usually called a functional analysis. So the assessment does give information on how to best support the person. Another type could be behavioural support. So there could be other ways of communicating so everyone can understand. Could be a change in the environment to help meet the person's needs or teach the person more effective coping skills. Now we're just going to touch a little bit on restrictive practices. So Courtney, I might get you to just give a brief explanation as to the types of regulated restrictive practices and just briefly what they are.
So there are 5 main types of restrictive practices. There's seclusion, which is the confinement of a person with a disability in a room or physical space at any hour of the day. It's where voluntary exit is prevented or not facilitated. There's also chemical restraint, which is the use of medication or chemical substances for the primary purpose of influencing a person's behaviour. There are mechanical restraints, which is the use of a device to prevent, restrict, or subdue a person's movement for the primary purpose of influencing a person's behaviour. There are physical restraints, which is the action of physical force to prevent, restrict, or subdue the movement of a person's body or even just a part of their body for the purpose of influencing behaviour. It does not include the use of hands-on techniques in a reflexive way. There's finally environmental restraint, which is the restriction of a person's free access to all parts of their environment, including items or activities. This could be shops and tools in order to keep everyone safer.
Okay, so when we talk about behaviour support plans can be developed by an NDIS behaviour support practitioner. Some support coordinators call these positive behaviour support coaches. It is to clearly identify the use of any restrictive practices in detail and include plans for reducing the practice as well as monitoring and reviewing the plan. It could be based on behaviour support assessments, so could be a functional behaviour assessment if it is a comprehensive plan. It contains evidence-based, person-centred and proactive strategies that address the person's needs and the functions of the behaviour. This could be lodged with the NDIS Commission if the plan contains regulated restrictive practices as well. The use of restrictive practices contained in the behaviour support plan must reduce the risk of harm to the person and or others. It has to be the least restrictive response possible to ensure the safety of the person and others around them as well. Could be used as a last resort in response to risk of harm to the person or others and be proportionate to the potential negative consequences or risk of harm as well. I hope this makes sense to everyone. We're really happy that we get to come on here and give a little bit of an insight into the knowledge that we know and experiences that we've experienced as support workers and support coordinators. It's really amazing to be able to come on here and I guess educate and be able to tell everyone experiences that we know of. So listen in. We have another episode coming next week that will be solely based around support workers and the experience that support workers have, day in the life of a support worker. So tune in for that. But thank you everyone for listening to this episode today. Courtney, thank you for coming today. It has been a pleasure having you here.
No problem.
Okay, bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure you are subscribed and following us so you can keep in the loop with all of our upcoming episodes. We would really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star rating, a written review, and to share this podcast with those that could benefit. Until next time, catch you on the next episode.